board meeting, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. December 17th at 5:30 p.m. in the year 2019. Let us all stand for the pledge, please. And Cohen Elin is going to lead us in that pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Next, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No.
No?
Good.
Okay. Next is our Thomas Nelson High School Student Showcase. Take it away.
So I'll give a little context to the video before we start. My name's Kurt Merrifield. I'm one of the assistant principals at Thomas Nelson High School. And this is the first year we've kind of set aside a block of time within our schedule for a mentorship class within the day. So second period, I lead a group of about 22 guys, all age groups 9 through 12. We have some 9th and 10th grade students who are acting as mentees, along with some 11th and 12th grade students who are acting as mentors. And really, it's a proactive approach to culture norming within our school. Really, Mark Webster and I, when we were working together and looked at some of the data, we noticed that there was a significant difference in the amount of freshman guys that were failing classes, getting care forms, and really in absences compared to all the other subgroups within the high school. And we were trying to stop being so reactive about the process and trying to figure out a way to be a little more proactive. So last year, we started kind of a pseudo-ascend throughout the schedule to kind of test it out, kind of beta test it, figure out what worked, what didn't, and we really built this program. During scheduling, I recruited some guys that I really wanted to be a part of this program, and to set it off on the right foot, you've got to have a strong group whenever you're trying to start something new, especially when you're going to be building the plane as it's flying. You want to make sure that you've got some awesome co-pilots with you. So this year in August, I had 12 mentors that I was working with all through August. We were going through data. We were going through what it looks like to set up a lesson plan. We were reading a lot of things about how you build a program, what it looks like to coach. And then when October break finished up, we introduced our first group of 9 mentees into the program. And while this is going on, 6th period, Laura Cornish, who is a major person at Thomas Nelson, she's actually leading the same thing with a group of girls. So she has, I think, 5 mentors and 4 mentees currently in that number of row in semester 2, kind of doing the exact same thing we are, but it does look a little different. It's a different time period as well that goes along with that. So mainly this started out as a mentorship, like a mentee-mentorship relationship, but we've kind of called it and changed the whole idea to leadership dynamics, really. It's mentees helping out the mentors, it's mentors learning from the mentees learning from the mentors, and really me learning from all of them. And it's become, we had an idea from the start of what it looked like. It's completely changed and evolved from that, and I think it will continue to do that, and that's good because it's gotten better. I've kind of gotten out of the way and just created a space for them, and I've been really excited with the process, and you're going to get to see some really good stuff and hear it from them instead of me, so I think we should just go straight to the video.
So last year we saw there was this need, we had gaps in our school culture to where a lot of freshmen were getting a lot of care forms. We saw not a lot of failing grades, but we saw significantly more failing grades than our other cohorts, or sophomores or juniors or seniors. So we wanted to be a little more proactive and reactive with the work we were doing with them. And so what we're looking for is really some upperclassmen, juniors and seniors that connect well with freshmen and sophomores. We've got to have students that have the ability to kind of take off the cool jacket and are able to be very genuine with these freshmen. We also want to make sure that they've had some past experience, maybe some behavior experiences, or maybe where they aren't able to co-op as a junior because maybe they had a failing class or they had to teach a hot class. And so now they kind of have learned from their own mistakes and are able to kind of lead the way instead of having the same students do the exact same thing, I think.
We look almost daily at grades to see, what are you failing, what do you have missing, what's coming up that you need to be studying for. Because I've had one who flat out said, she's like, I won't make it through math without this. Because that's her main focus when she comes in here mostly. It's just math. Her other grades are great. But for some of the girls, it's just needing a positive relationship with some other girl that can hopefully get the right path. I told the girls at the beginning of the mentors that you're the older sister, but you're the older sister who's going to hold them accountable.
I have a mentee, he's a freshman, and coming in, he didn't want to trust me very much, and he was kind of resilient to wanting to work with me, but after I got to talking to him, he started to place some of his trust in me, and so from that point, I started to see growth from his grades and his behavior. I mean, it's been powerful seeing that my actions can make a difference in his everyday life to kind of motivate him to be the student he is today. He knows that I'll always be there for him. I know that he has my back just as much as I have his. No matter who you are, you can still get your grades up. Like, everybody needs somebody to rely on and fall back on. The bond that we get between like the mentees and mentors, or even just like, not even yours, but everybody in there. Like, we all know that if there was something we had to talk about, we wouldn't have to hesitate to come up to somebody and talk, even if they're not your mentee.
I like to be the person who like push someone else because like they might not have the support system at home. So I like to know that I can give them the validation so they can work towards something. I felt like none of the teachers understood what I was going through. I was too scared to ask questions. I was too scared to even stay after. And thanks to Ms. Cornish and the other girls who have been through all the classes that I've been through, they help me in my work, and it just helps my mental health. Because if I need someone to talk to and I'm stressed out with like finals and exams and tests, then I have them to lean on, and it's not just my mentor, it's like the whole group together. It's really beneficial for me because before I went in there, I was failing a lot of classes because with my mental health, it was really hard to deal with classes and stress. But since I've been in there, my grades have actually got up, and the group kind of makes me feel welcome instead of like an outcast.
Just to see the connections and the bonds they're building and holding one another accountable, like you can really start to see that now. If somebody makes a mistake, I feel like they reflect and we move on because we don't give up and we just come back together and start all over again. This early on, I can already tell a couple of our mentees will be great mentors in a few years.
I think it's really important for other schools to do because whenever I tell people, especially my friends who aren't in it, because my friends always talk about their stress, so I think having that outlet, especially at school, because before even joining, I didn't think that the school cared at all about mental health, so knowing that they had a class for that really helped and made me think better of the school, more than I already did. I think it's just not it. I think it's really needed.
So I think some pieces that were brought up in there before I bring some Ascend students up here. There's always bumps along the road as well too. We've had two of our mentees that actually have 45-day placements at the academy, but you saw Carson talking about trying to build that connection with his mentee. He actually brought up to me, hey, can we go over and visit? It's hard to work with our mentee virtually. Can we actually go visit and work there? So we've actually had 2 days in December where I've taken them, driven them straight to the academy, and we've, for 2.5 hours, we're busting out as much as we can with them, really connecting with them again, kind of seeing them there as well, and letting them know that, when you come back, you're going to be, you're welcome back, obviously, here to our community. You're still a part of this. We want to make sure that you're doing well, even though you're away from our class. That was something that when I saw Carson, I wanted to make sure we said. And another little facet of this that we didn't really imagine at first was bringing in community members. I think there's 3 or 4 people in this room that have come to talk to our Ascend mentees. They've invited people that weren't connected to the school district. Really, we had Tessie Cecil come in. We've had Detective John Snow come in. We've had a lot of different people that have made impacts on their future stories come in to talk and tell a little bit more about their story. So it's like I said, it started out as kind of this idea of working on academics and behavior, and it's really evolved into this leadership skill. So with that, I want to introduce Colton and Seth. They're going to come up and talk a little bit about their experiences in the program.
So like Mr. Merrifield was saying, it's really about building bonds and helping our mentees along, but also building relationships and helping ourselves as well in school. Just the bonds that we've made and the friendships that have grown from this have helped me realize what caring for another person is and what leadership is. I've had chances to step up and hold Seth accountable, and him hold me accountable as well. So it's a two-way street. We learn from each other every day, and I love it.
I think it's just more than like a class. It's kind of like a brotherhood because like you bond with these people so much. You trust them with like everything. Like they get to see my grades, everything, and I actually trust them with that as like I would my parent or a brother or something.
So I also told them that it was probably going to be opened up to any questions you may have to be ready for that. Because I know when I say talk for a minute or two, it normally turns into about 30 seconds, 45. So if you want any questions about their experience, maybe.
So COVID, what's this ascend? I mean, where did that name come from? What's it mean? The Emmy's there as well. Because I'm kind of curious about that.
So our goal is to ascend status quo, to rise above what everyone expects you to be, and to achieve more. So that's where and the phoenix is represented as flight and rising.
Gotcha. I wonder if that's what that was with the name. And Seth, curious, so are you a freshman, sophomore?
I'm a freshman.
Freshman. So, and I assume Colton is your mentor,
yes,
big brother, partner in all of this. What's one thing out of this first 4.5 months or so of school, high school, what's one thing already that you discovered having the opportunity to have someone that's a mentor?
I've discovered like that I always have someone to lean on. It's like Colton's always there, and so is Isaac. He's not here yet. But it's just like good, and I learned that not only can like just my mentors, but like everyone in the class can help me.
What year are you, Colton?
I'm a senior.
So did you all know each other beforehand?
I never met him before this class.
To speak up for Isaac just a little bit. Today is day 2 on the job that he actually got partnering with Mr. Mudd at State Farm. So
no, that's okay.
This is day 2 with that job.
That's okay. So Seth, whenever you see Isaac tomorrow, I guess, you'll be able to say, so you really missed a good time tonight.
Seth, as the other mentees, and you speak on their behalf, would you say that they would predominantly all have the same things to say about their mentors, have their mentors taken off that cool jacket, as it was so eloquently said earlier?
Yeah, because like I can see like how they connect with their mentors. Because like on the first day, everybody was just like silent, didn't even want to talk to anybody. But now like you can see they're like opened up to each other and they talk to each other like friends.
Now do y'all, I'm sorry, do y'all talk to each other outside of school too?
No.
If I see him in the hall outside of class, I will say hi.
So you don't shun him? No. But that, I mean, that's an interesting question though, because I mean, you're a senior, athlete.
I've played sports, but not this year.
Okay. So, you know, I mean, you're, just go back to the phrase, you know, cool kid, cool jack and all that. And, you know, here's this freshman that has come into this big school building. Which middle school did you go to?
Bloomfield.
Okay. So, Bloomfield Middle School, about 350 students, give or take. Now you've got twice that many. Everything's in different places, different expectations. It's just a whirlwind, I'm sure, of being a freshman. And so now there's this person who's been through it. Have you been there all 4 years?
Yes, sir.
So been there at Thomas Nelson all 4 years, and he does say hi in the hallways. He admitted it, right? But you've got someone that you can kind of look to, you know, help guide you through this crazy time of high school, because it's not easy, is it?
Not really.
Yeah.
So with that, I want to also pass on to Colton and Seth for stepping up today and being here. It's definitely intimidating from time to time to come out of just the school building, but also here to talk about something completely new. So for your all's leadership today, here's a token of gratitude for that. So you go, Seth. There you go, Colton. Let's give them a big round of applause.
You got it.
Kurt, get the picture too. 1, 2, 3.
Nice job.
We want to just stop at recognizing the students. This is also for Mr. Merrifield. So when you think about somebody who really wants to do the impossible, I think that Kurt really embodies that. I remember when he presented this program when he was interviewing for the vice principal job. As soon as he presented it, we thought, we need that. We definitely need that in our school. So thank you, Kurt, for all your work.
That's good. Thank you all.
Thank you. Good job. Okay. Next on the agenda is Community Health and Engagement Quarterly Ignite with the Robin McCoy.
Thank you. Just to say a little bit to further the Ascend program, I got to be one of their guest speakers, and we circled up and we got to feel our emotions, like, you know, I'm always about. And those boys, it was so powerful. It was such a brotherhood that they could acknowledge how they were feeling in the time, and some of them were excited, some of them were having feelings of some anxiety. So much honesty came out of that short-term time together, and it was powerful. And I saw that the mentors and mentees were sitting beside each other. It's just a really cool program. I couldn't say enough about it. I was so excited to get to come and spend that time with you guys. So thank you. Okay, so that was a side note. So this month, as we look at caretaking, we're looking at this quote from Deep Learning about, it's really the Ministry of Ontario defines well-being as a positive sense of self, spirit, and belonging that we feel when our cognitive, emotional, social, and physical needs are being met. And so if we take the lens of these 4 components of care, physical care, intellectual care, social care, and emotional care, we think about what we just heard. We really saw emotional and social care really come out of that experience of Ascend, and thinking through what kind of competencies are they gathering from being in that program. But the one we're focused on tonight is really around physical care. And through physical care is our nutrition program. And so when we think about meeting the physical needs of our kids, food and nutrition is a huge part of their experience. And we don't always get to give you guys a pat on the back for what you guys do to our school. I'm looking back there because there's 3 cafe leaders are back here. They're getting ready to come up. But if I could give you all a pat on the back every single day of the encouragement when kids are coming through the line, the love they're pouring out, because without their physical needs being met, we cannot educate them. They are not there mentally, physically, anything there unless you guys are doing your all's job. So we're so appreciative. So Jessica Hogue is actually going to take it from here, and she's actually from a hotel room, I believe, somewhere. And so she's on, I think we did video last December too with her. So, yeah. So here she goes.
Hello, this is Jessica Hogue, the Director of Nutrition Services, and I sincerely apologize that I am not present for tonight's board meeting, but I know that I have wonderful people there that will represent us well. I wanted to just give a brief introduction to kind of what we're talking about as we are still highlighting these priorities of impossible service, student and family engagement, and financial and strategic planning. Tonight, we're going to really dig deep into our participation and the food options that are on our menus. So, wanted to start with our lunch participation, and really it has been a steady percentage across the district. As you can see, it has currently increased from the previous 2 years. We have really worked on discussing the importance of presentation and eye appeal. So I'm going to let Jackie Donahue, who's our cafeteria manager at New Haven, and Karen Whalen, who's our cafeteria manager at Thomas Nelson, they're going to discuss the strategies that they use at their schools. And then I also wanted to highlight our breakfast participation. So back in May, we discussed adding 2 schools to the Community Eligibility Provision, CEP, cycle. This program allows for enrolled students to be provided breakfast and lunch at no charge. We definitely saw that there was an opportunity for more students to take advantage of free breakfast, especially at these 7 CEP schools. So thankfully, with the support of administration and teachers, we were able to bring alternative breakfast services to 5 of our CEP schools this school year. One of the methods that was introduced at elementary schools is breakfast in the classroom. The schools that provide breakfast in the classroom have seen a 25 to 35% increase in breakfast participation since last school year. We are really lucky to have Dottie Pike here tonight. She's our cafeteria manager at Boston School, and she's been amazing with the implementation of breakfast in the classroom, and I'm going to let her share the experiences on that. So just to kind of wrap up on this, you all are going to hear from our managers and their experiences, because they're the ones doing this work. I could not have made the accomplishments that we've made in the past year and a half without them and their team. So it's only fitting that they're the ones to share on these experiences. So I'm going to turn it over to them. I hope you all have a wonderful board meeting and a wonderful Christmas break.
So I'm going to go ahead and invite Dottie Pike, Karen Whalen, and Jackie John. Come on up.
Dottie go first.
Well, they have my picture up here about the breakfast in the classroom. I'm from Boston. We implemented it this August. Our cafe team prepares the breakfast in the morning. We put it in the rolling carts. We have student representatives that come to the cafeteria. They come and get their cart, take it to their family caretaker rooms. They share their breakfast together while they do their family caretaking. Our cafe team goes down to each classroom and picks up the bags and brings them back and empties the garbage from them, so that we're out and about and get to see the school and meet teachers that we have never seen before. So it's like, so we have a lot to do come meet, but there's some that we have never seen. Our principals and teachers have been great letting us implement this new breakfast in the classroom. Our participation is up like 90% now, so it's been very helpful for the kids that don't like to come meet in the mornings, but they see their friends in the classroom meet, and they love it.
Okay, I hope everyone had a chance to try some of the food. These are some of the samples of the things that we do have at our school. The chicken is a new product this year. Kids are loving it. The cookies, believe it or not, they were whole wheat. They're just delicious. We just don't know the kids. It's like and one of the things that we are constantly working on is making things eye-appealing. And we learned that with our students, we learned the more that we vote or pre-cup, the better they take it. So we're trying to figure out ways to, get kids to eat their vegetables and, to take a fruit. And so it's like, we're figuring it out. It's like, okay, so we've got some little cups over there, and that was one way that we do it, and it helps.
And hers are high school, so they're just going to grab it anyway.
Yeah,
but ours are babies, and so they're like, wow, did I get to grab this myself? So the prettier it is and the better it looks, the better chance they're going to take. Like you could put mixed fruit out, put one piece of strawberry in it, they're like, oh, I want that too, because they're like, hey. But I don't know, just eye-appealing. And all the new menu things, I'm going to tell this because Jessica's not here. When I left New Haven 2 years ago, and I came back, and of course all the menu stuff changed. So the kids are like, yay, Miss Janie's back, and we have new stuff. And I'm like, yeah! So they still pay for me. Jessica knows that, and she's fine with it. But it is, like, we find the more we cut it up, the better, the more we serve. Like, even some to bring their lunch, they go back, the other kids go back to the table, and they're like,
hey, what do you have? And then they'll come through the line and get through too. So it's being positive. Yeah, I did notice that the last presentation, a couple of the mentors are our student workers. And they are great behind the line because they engage with all the kids that are going through the line, and it's like, they're a lot of fun. Yeah. So it's like, we just try to stay positive and, encourage them to eat the different products.
To me, the important thing is, a lot of kids, when they leave school, that's their last meal. And when they come back the next morning and they're really hungry, and that just adds to the positive things that kids can eat. That's who I worry about. Because I've heard from all over the county, different mamas say the food is much better this year and more appealing, and that's great. And I know participation is really, really high now, a lot better than it has been in the last few years. But the kids, though, like the backpack and that kind of deal, too, that's important to me because we don't really know how many kids never get another meal except at school.
And that goes with our breakfast in the classroom. We fix one bag. They can eat all of it or they can eat none of it. And a lot of times the teachers will take all the extras if it's non-perishable and keep it. And then if the kids need something to go home with them, they have that extra food that they can take with them. Or if they need a snack throughout the day, the teachers will give them that because it's there, if they're not feeling well or something. So it does work out that. And even I've seen some kids come back, they'll have like 5 packs of craisins to eat for lunch with them, because they collected from the other students that didn't want to. Yes, so it does work out.
That's good instead of wasting somebody's using it.
Yes.
I appreciate you all. I worked with people from the lunchroom world, and it's hard work, but it's really, I appreciate you, really. I love the work you're doing. And Jessica too, and I've told her.
And she's done great things, turning our program around, and we have a vision now, and that's what we're working to, and so she's done really great.
Well, Miss Dottie, you fed me lunch and dinner, because I ate lunch and this whole thing.
Today was our big Christmas meal, so
I know you're wore out. It was warm.
So I was sore because I talked to everyone that came through.
Great job.
I'm trying to remember, Boston's a CEP school?
Yes.
And New Haven, Thomas Nelson is not? Okay. I was kind of thinking through, you were talking about the student to assist you with the morning breakfast in the classroom, that they come down, they bring it back to the classroom. With it being a CEP school, then there's nothing they have to deal with as far as lunch codes or anything like that?
No. Like, when we prepare it, it's all the complete meal is in one individual bag. Okay. And then we put that in the rolling cart. So the teacher, if you want your meal, you come up and grab your whole bag, so that's your complete meal. So that, and then she just marks it off that they got the meal. So that's how, we make sure that everyone gets. And then it's their choice if they want to eat it or put it on the share table or take it home for later or not just milk or something that they can eat. So.
Or trade three biscuits for 4 crazy.
Somebody might like the chicken, they want the biscuit, and they can do that. So.
What's going rate for boxes of craisins? what's it equal to for a biscuit?
I don't know.
What's the exchange rate?
All right, so ladies, before you go, we have a show of appreciation with the frames, but also we want to give you a round of applause for the reception food that you provided. That's the kind of food that our kids are getting served. We often see negative pictures of cafeteria food from schools online, and really that's not what our kids are experiencing. No. They're experiencing so much nutrition through your meals that you're preparing, and so that's so important to them. As administrators, we're all familiar, and teachers, with the hangry child, so we appreciate you. So hold on, let me grab those frames really quick. And then Brooke is going to grab your
So before we move on real quick, I just want to ask a couple of data points. The participation rate going up 14% in 1 year seems like a little bit, but that's 560 kids or somewhere around there. And so that's essentially a school, an entire school, one of our larger schools, that would be eating breakfast this year that wasn't last year. And if you look at the overall nutrition on slide 3, just going up 4 percentage points in 2 years is 160 kids eating lunch that weren't eating lunch. And again, that is a testament to a lot of people working together in our cafeterias and in our schools to continue to provide services for kids that they're going to be engaged with. We want to see this number to continue to rise. We know that if kids are engaged in the lunchroom, they're going to be more likely to be engaged in the classroom. And it takes a lot of work to make this happen. So thank you to our cafe team. You guys are awesome. I love visiting the cafeteria. Except Karen. Spend too much time in her cafeteria. But you guys are really impressive, so thank you guys.
We've got good staff.
Is he banned now? Is that what he's banned him from
Well, we haven't banned him. We just got, our ladies have to hang out with him.
Okay.
I spent a few years there.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is Deep Learning, Chapter 10.
So after quite a journey of 9 chapters, we come to the end. Tonight, December 2019, the last chapter, the shortest chapter, Chapter 10. We'll set the timer for 5 minutes. For those of you that follow along at home on your Kindle or online, Chapter 10 of Deep Learning.
Mine's somewhere between Taylor County and here. It's in the back seat of my car. I've talked to this guy, like, I'm going to give someone else an opportunity.
I think it's a great sign of maturity. Personally, I love it. If we sit here in silence, that'd probably be the greatest sign of deep learning that we can have.
So, Wes, so if no one wants to talk about a chapter, we want to talk about next steps. What happens after the book?
So we have we have a project that really is the next step. It's called Project Backpack. And Project Backpack will occur really for years, but over the next 6 months will allow our schools to come back to the conversation around the future of learning in the Nelson County schools. There is a supplement to deep learning that is called Deep Learning Tools for Engagement, and it provides a lot more explicit examples of, let's say, page 122 and some of the rubrics around student outcomes that we've looked at. So if you look at, let's take a look at 42, page 42, where it talks about the future of work and skills you need to thrive in the fourth industrial revolution is what they're referencing. These skills, we know we have to come back to this conversation around those skills that drive the future of work. And last year, we dove into the conversation around what is our purpose and how does it drive the future of our work in our pride teams. And we felt like, after reflecting on our pride teams, that it was in many ways another silo we had created, because it was really in this room. So that work is expanding beyond this room very much to the local level. And our goal is, as we enter into April and May, that we have some of these skills defined more clearly, and much of that conversation has to be incubated at our local site-based teams, at our local school PLC teams, and the way we engage community. So, for example, Future Ready Alliance team meeting we had just about 6 weeks ago, we dove back into this conversation with local business and industry leaders, and we know that the next step is more clarity around what it is that we're aiming for. So that's where we are. You'll hear more about that when you hear Project Backpack. That's what we're referencing. And you'll hear about that some from Mr. Goff, Ms. Arnold, and Ms. McCoy as we frame some of this work over the next few months. Just for the audience, Chapter 10 is really a call to action, and it does a really nice, I think it does a really nice job of expressing our moral obligation to think about how we serve all kids. As you think about the Ascend program as an example that was just discussed, it says things that emerged within deep learning, and number one thing was, how do we help humanity on page 164? How do we allow life and learning to merge, like in workforce development? How do we work with others, just like we saw Cole Needland, as an intrinsic motivator? How do we allow that natural human need to be connected to drive some of the work we do in schools? So that's really like a big piece of that. We made it.
You ended it right. Well, good job.
I will say it's interesting what you just said about COVID. That there's a little word that humans want and need each other. And listening to the two of them talk about each other, they've only known each other for 4 months. But I would hazard a guess that somehow they'll still stay in touch even after Colton graduates this coming spring.
Agree. But they don't hang out outside school.
Yeah. That may change.
Let them grow up.
You never can tell. That may change.
Okay. Thank you. Next item is our consent agenda, which includes the treasurer's report, bills and claims, monthly financial report, balance sheet, leave of absence, minutes of previous meeting, fundraiser request, overnight or out-of-state field trips request, and amend the 2020-2021 school calendar. And we've already been given those items sent to us, so we've had a chance to look over that. And I need a motion to accept these items. Motion. Okay. Ms. Green made the motion. Second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Dickerson, second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Ms. Berry, it might be worth noting for the three media folks that are here tonight, the calendar amendment is a slight change. Normally, we always think of Oaks Day being that Friday in May before that first Saturday in May. And it just happens to be this year, the first Saturday in May is May 1st. So it's a unique thing. Oaks Day is actually the last day of April, and it was just an oversight there. So that's the only thing about that amendment in the calendar.
Thank you. Our next item is to put people first. With this is personnel notification, which we do not take any kind of a motion on. Next is job descriptions, and that would be Ms. Owens.
I'm presenting tonight on some things that you've already been in discussion about. We're asking you to approve one new job description and just a few changes to the salary schedule. The new job description is student services supervisor. We are not increasing the number of positions we have. We're just doing a job description that will provide us a little bit more flexibility in our hiring. The salary schedule changes for the administrative salary index and the extended employment schedule is just adjusting for the student services supervisor one. And then the student leadership is just clarifying some language on what counts as a year of experience. The K through 8, we have added baseball to near the middle school allocations. And then the transportation service, we're adding language to compensate our future bus drivers for some training time, which we don't currently have. So I'm asking that you approve the one new job description and those revisions to the 2019-2020 salary schedule.
Okay, we need a motion for these items to
Motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Mr. Jackie made the motion and Ms. Dye second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item is Innovate and Grow, and that would be our WHAS Crusade grant. That would be Ms. Clark.
So every year, I bring to you guys an idea of what we want to write the grant for, and this year it kind of goes along with the same thing with workforce development. So we talked about the Guthrie Opportunity Center partnership. With that, we think about getting students to job placements. We also have to think about transportation. So this year, I would like to request from WHAS a wheelchair accessible vehicle. So Mr. Marchese and I have been working to get some bids from our state bid list on what the pricing of that is. I think I'm going to go for the largest amount for a brand new, and then we'll see where we get from there and work our way down that. So we're looking at buying a brand new van and then having the modifications put in for that in order to have a wheelchair accessible van instead of having to take a bus every time, because we do have students that at our high school level that will need transportation options. So just have to get approval from you guys to write the grant for that request this school year.
Yeah, I always start out with a higher amount.
We'll see.
Okay, I need a motion to proceed with the grant request for wheelchair accessible van.
Motion.
Okay, Ms. Dye made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dickerson, second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Great. Next, we have Ms. Lee with grant applications.
OKH Middle School is requesting permission to apply for 2 grants that will support ag innovation, and those are for up to a total of $5,000 each. They're building the budget, so they don't have the exact amount yet.
Okay. It will be up to $5,000. Great.
Does it require any sort of match from the school or the district?
Not that I'm aware of. Oftentimes when they're asking for match now, it's in-kind, so services that we already offer.
Okay, I need a motion to grant permission to submit this application. Mr. Dickerson made the motion. Second? I'll second. Ms. Breeding, second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Great. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Morgan, data sync.
So DataSync is a program that would allow us to bring 25 computers into the district. The only cost to the district would be for some training. A lot of districts, the districts in red already have at least one, or the counties in red already have at least one school district participating in the program. What it is we bring the computers in, we power them, we provide network connectivity, and then University of Louisville, when we're not using those computers, they can use those computers and the processing power for cancer research. So they're basically building a giant supercomputer across the state of Kentucky. So we just happen to house it in one of our schools. Our kids get to use those computers throughout the day, and the cost to the district is only the price of training a few people on the solution. So we're just asking that you approve that we enter into an agreement with DataSync to provide these computers to our kids.
It's about $25,000 of Macintosh as they're using it.
Just curious, how long has this program been going on at the University of Louisville?
I don't know. David, do you know how long it's been going on?
It's probably pushed about 15 years now. It originally started and was funded through, was it co-severance taxes up, if I'm saying that correctly, which is why that map of Kentucky, you noticed there was a lot of red in far eastern Kentucky, and then you also saw a good chunk out in western Kentucky as well, which is where all the coal is. We don't have black rocks in central Kentucky, at least that I know of. So it was originally funded through that, and once the coal industry and that co-severance tax stopped in Kentucky, then that allowed it to be, the funds are still part of the state budget appropriation, and it allowed other counties, other school districts to participate in it.
But this is tell me if I'm wrong, it's just a storage.
So we're going to put these in a lab setting. We already have the space, the power, the network there in the
But I mean, the stuff that's going to be, the materials, it's going to be stored in, we can use it, but if what UVL needs is going to be stored on those computers, or?
They're going to use the processing power, so they'll be able to access those computers on the off hours and use that for cancer research. So it's basically, instead of building a giant computer like in this room, they're spreading that out. They're letting the school district power those computers and provide network connectivity and internet, but then they're taking advantage of the off-hour processing time. So instead of those things sitting there idle for 16 hours a day, they can use those. They're trying to find cures for cancer.
So a lot of the numerical data and all that analyzing that traditionally would be done in a supercomputer, as Mr. Morgan was saying, in a large room. They decide, well, one, we can get more technology out into public schools, and by doing so, then during off hours, we can send these little chunks of data to all of those computers, and each computer can kind of be working on something separately, processing some of that, because there's a piece of software, if I remember correctly, that runs on that computer during those off hours, and then it sends back the results of that data crunching to U of L.
The perfect analogy is, and no one may remember this, I don't know, maybe just the geek remembers this, but there used to be a screensaver back in the day called SETI. It was Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And what would happen is when the screensaver would kick on, it was actually crunching data from, I don't actually know where, but they were looking for signs of alien life. It was legit.
I mean, that is the exact principle it is. It's just in this case here. And if I remember correctly, it's at New Haven School. The STEM teacher, is that correct, has kind of written up an approach on how she can leverage these Mac computers for her work, her coding work, for student enrichment and opportunities, and then after 3:30, when everybody's gone, they start doing this other work on their own.
We originally, when we became aware of the opportunity, we originally didn't have a vision for it, because in order to have a vision for a Macintosh computer lab, you have to have someone that has a vision for a Macintosh computer lab. So we found that person in Miss Newton down at New Haven, who's running a STEM lab there, and really is a heavy Mac user. So she's already using a Mac every day. And when we discussed it with her, she had 4 or 5 key programs that she felt like she would be able to use advantageously in this process. So that was key. You know, just having $25,000 of computers isn't going to do us much good if we can't utilize them. So she was very excited about the conversation, and I think she feels like it's going to allow for some programming to occur that she doesn't currently have access to in Chromebooks, and she's very excited about that potential.
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
So why are not other counties and school districts taking advantage of this? I mean, it's very specific to either side of the state. There's nobody in the middle.
I don't know. So I really don't know.
I think you'll see that map grow. I think you'll see it grow a lot in the next 6 to 12 months. And I'll be honest with you, the part of this is a $3 million line item in the budget, the state budget. So $3 million was allocated towards it. This year, it's not always the case. So every year for 15 years or however long, it hasn't always been that much. There are some years it's there, some years it's not always there. I think the reality is the legislation behind this also has some political bent towards cancer research. It also has some political bent towards some of the communities in East and West Kentucky. So Central Kentucky state representatives and senators weren't as engaged in this conversation. And to be frank, I think a lot of this streams right through the House and the Senate at the state level.
Going back to what originally funded this program, the co-severance tax, I think it was either 42 or 45 school districts, not counties, but school districts, because you have to remember, like Pike County, there's a Pikeville Independent, and there's several independents still in that red in Eastern Kentucky. And so it was limited to only those counties that did have coal deposits and were receiving that coal severance tax funding. And 15 years ago was pre-Chromebooks, pre-mobile devices for students. And also, I mean, let's just admit it, in Eastern Kentucky, I mean, it was a more still impoverished area, and trying to find funding for having computers for students to have access to. So that's why the model was a lot of that lab kind of environment. Now that co-severance tax funding mechanism has expired, they've been trying to figure out how to expand that to other parts of the state, and now I think we're starting to see that happen in Central Kentucky. Well, across the state, but for us in Central Kentucky.
This was the first year I had heard about it.
I think it's the placement of those districts is directly related to the House of Representatives and the senators engaged in this opportunity. That's how. Which I would say is how a lot of things work.
I think it's an advantage off the face value, but I would be curious. I mean, that's why I asked how long the program's been going on. Would data be able to show us the fruits of all this work for the past 15 years?
I would love to see that. That would be something we could reach out and see.
Yeah, the website is very robust, and I didn't invite the brains behind DataSeam here tonight because we have Jesse, who, as you can tell, with the Twilight Zone conversation. I'm not sure if we can better explain it than that.
I mean, that's an exact analogy. I had that on my computer 20 years ago.
A lot of people didn't even know it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Motion to approve.
Second here.
Okay. Mr. Dickerson made the motion that the board grant permission to join the DataSeam initiative, and Ms. Nye second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, our next item is Ms. Whitlow, and you're going to tell us about the foundation update.
So we moved this item to the end of the agenda tonight. Before guest comments, we moved this because it's really like a Christmas gift, happy holidays to all of us as we think about the growth and the storyline that's emerged here. So, and Ms. Whitlow is just, whatever reason, she's just more engaging in her energy than myself and others. So there you go.
Okay, all right. So it's been a few months since I updated you guys on the work of the foundation. So I wanted to kind of just start off. The last time I spoke to you all, we kind of introduced the Impossible Gear Store, and that's been open since May. We've processed quite a lot of hard-to-see gear and apparel, with all of the proceeds benefiting the Imagination Library initiative here in Nelson County, which the foundation is an affiliate of. So our foundation board met last Monday to take care of some business that I'm about to tell you about. And we were absolutely blown away by how much money we have actually processed and invested in the Imagination Library here in this county. So I wanted to tell you, $10,724 since May has really been invested in the Imagination Library. And also, just as importantly, I think it's important to note that $10,724 as of an hour ago, or a couple hours ago, has been invested in, I heard and see, and people wanting to really be a part of our school district and our community, which I think is important to note. So one of the things that we've added to the store is the ability to sponsor a child in the Imagination Library. So when you visit impossiblegear.com, you'll see Imagination Library sponsorship up at the very top. And so those are in $25 increments. And $25 is really the price point that sponsors a child for an entire year. So $25, one full year, one book a month for a child birth to 5 in our community. So when you go to Impossible Gear, now you can just add a little sponsorship right to your card, and all of that money 100% goes to support the program in Nelson County, which, by the way, we are now serving almost 800 children in the Imagination Library. So we started the year off in May at about 400, so we doubled our numbers just in, a few, 6, 7, 8 months or so, which is really exciting. So revisiting this conversation about who is really at the table for the Imagination Library, for the past 6 months we really focused on our student leaders and how can we engage our student leaders in this conversation of literacy through the Imagination Library. So we mentioned back in the spring that we had partnered with Flagey Memorial Hospital, and they have voted as a foundation board, and also the CHI St. Joseph Health Foundation Board in Lexington is also part of that. Both foundation boards are funding approximately 250 babies a year, because that's about how many babies are born at Flagey. And so we have been working on this care package that we are going to give to babies when they are born. So I want to kind of, instead of me telling you about the story, I wanted to let the kids in our community introduce this project.
My hero, Natalie Parker, once said, the seeds of dreams are often found in books, and the seeds you help plant in your community can grow across the world. 932 of my closest friends from the Nelson County Schools decide to do both. Plant seeds in our community through a book about our community. We believe in building a community of readers and writers begins the day a child is born, which is why we are partnering with Flagey Memorial Hospital to begin from the foundation for a love of reading at an early age. For the past 4 months, my friends, kindergartners, first and second graders, have been writing a book about our community to give to these new babies on the day they're born. We love reading, we love writing, and we love our Imagination Library.
We have officially 932 newly published authors from the Nelson County Schools. Can we go back to the slide deck real quick? Or is this just not? Next one. Okay, so for the past 4 months or so, we started in August working with our literacy specialists at each of our 5 elementary schools, and they developed a storyline. Dolly's our main character, and she is on a journey to become a reader. And so throughout this book, each of our schools had 4 pages, and those kids at those schools, kindergarten through 1st grade, really wrote those storylines, developed, and then all of the illustrations in the book are done by the children. So there's 932 authors and illustrators in this book, and they are all recognized on the very last 3 pages of the book as the authors. So, this whole project has been so exciting, and I'm kind of short of breath because this has been a long time coming, but these books will be here on December 30th. Yes, hopefully, send all of your positive vibes to our publisher. But they'll be here December 30th, and we're really kicking this project off with the very first baby that is born at Flagey on January 1st. So that's like less than 36 hours before the baby's born. So hopefully that works out. Now, I do want to point out one exciting thing. Throughout these pages, we have kindergarten, first, and second graders that are illustrating each of these pages. To really bring this story to life, we knew that we needed some consistency with our main character, Dolly. So this is Cameron Mason. He's a junior at Thomas Nelson High School, and he has already been accepted, is my understanding, to Savannah College of Art and Design as an illustrator. So he illustrated Dolly throughout the whole entire book. So Dolly is really the character that brings each of the pages to life as she travels through our community. So I don't want to give away too much of the storyline because you have to buy the book. See what I did there? So exciting things happening. And officially, as of today, you guys can pre-order this book. So the price point is $15, which is going to allow us about 3 books per child. 3 books per child in the Imagination Library for every book that's purchased. So all of the proceeds go to, obviously, to the Imagination Library, and that is available on impossiblegear.com. And we have 400 copies. Expected delivery date or ship date would be mid-January for those. So the care package that our babies are going to receive starting January 1st is going to be an I Heart NC onesie. CHI St. Joseph Health is donating the book bags that the babies are going to get. There's going to be information and literature on how to get those babies registered for the Imagination Library, and then they'll receive a copy of the book. And so really the next part of our conversation is, how do we celebrate these authors? Because let me tell you something, there was a little girl at the very end of the last video that I showed that was, she was a Boston child, and she was in front of the Yellow Jacket at the very end. And I gave her her page to take her video, and she said, "Oh, that's my bee!" And like watching her in that moment, like see her published illustration in that book was absolutely magical. And so really that brings us to this conversation here, which is, how are we going to celebrate these authors? This has been a huge project that they've worked on and that they are super, super excited about. And so Flagey Memorial and CHI, they have agreed to sponsor an event, a community celebration, where we can celebrate these 932 authors. And so, that really kind of got us thinking. I sat at the table with the marketing team from CHI, and we're really excited about this project. We're talking, and we're like, gosh, this is a big deal. We have 932 authors that have published a children's book. Kind of feel like Dolly should come, right? So we decided we would make her a personal invitation and invite her to our community celebration.
New York Times best-selling author. My closest friends got together and wrote a book for these newborn babies. A wise woman once said, "You'll never do a whole lot unless you are brave enough to try." So we figured it was worth a shot to invite you to our community celebration.
So we have some connections, hopefully, that it has been confirmed that video landed in her text messages. So it's all yet to be decided, but you'll definitely be hearing more soon as we plan this community celebration. But I scheduled the Facebook post that celebrates our authors, and it's live on Facebook. So we definitely need your help spreading the word, celebrating our students and the work that they've done over the past 4 months. And also, selling some books and getting some more kids registered for Imagination Library. So,
are we giving each of the kids a book, or do they have to buy their own?
So look, I started with, we purchased 400 extra copies. So right now, we are getting 250 of those to 5A along with the onesies. And we're really seeking, we've got a couple of sort of things in the works right now, but we're trying to seek a community partner to really kind of get that cost of the onesie and the book so that we can have 100% of our profits go directly into Imagination Library. So a lot of those kind of logistics are still up in the air. I just really needed those books January 1st, so that's kind of where I'm at right now, is just getting the books like here at 288 Wildcat. So definitely still having conversations about that. So anything else? Any questions or anything?
Yeah, I think I'm going to need help navigating. I'm trying to pre-order a book.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying.
Oh, okay. I don't hate it.
We were done listening to you after you said you can go on and pre-order, and we were sitting here filling out our orders.
Okay, great.
Right here.
Yeah. So I added it up there at the top to make navigation a little bit easier.
We're already there.
Okay.
We've already put in the discount code so that we can pick our book up here, which is pick up only.
Pick up only. All caps, one word.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a rush of people out there.
Do what?
There's going to be a rush of people out there.
I hope so. So we do expect, we'll have to obviously process those. So all the pre-orders, I'm kind of letting people know mid-January, but we'll definitely let you know when they're
We may need some help here after we
Okay, I'll help you.
You do know that Dolly has I know a lot of people don't watch Hallmark, but Dolly in Dollywood.
I've already seen it.
Did you notice the last 5 minutes they concentrated on the book?
Yeah, everything.
Yes, it was on the book.
So I really feel like, there's just been lots of Dolly happening in the news. She's talking about Imagination Library, so I'm really feeling good vibes. Like, the universe is in our favor here with this, but we are definitely trying to get some local media to pick up this story. Wave 3 has contacted us, and we're hoping to connect them with some students and really talk about the project. And CHI St. Joseph Health in Lexington, their marketing team has been absolutely phenomenal. They are so excited about this project too, and they're really using their ad agency. They've hired Grizzly Media here in town to produce a video about the first few families that get this care package and get this book to really showcase early literacy, promoting early literacy, and their partnership with us on this project. So, they've been really fun to work with throughout the past several months. So, here's hoping we can get our attention. So, that's why we need your help. Share. So.
Well, I think the goal too is on February during my Ignite, we'll have our literacy specialist here, so that'll be a good time to come back to some of the storylines as well and update you all.
Great Day Live loves stories like that. So you might think about that.
Oh yes.
WHAS in the morning.
Listen, I'm calling all the people. all the people.
Because they love that kind of stuff. Yeah. Great. Great job. Thank you. Okay.
screen there is the 2020 board calendar at this time. No revisions recommended. Just wanted to bring us back to those dates and remind everyone the shift as we move to Tuesday, January 7th, will be our first work session beginning at 5:30.
Okay. Okay, any other comment? Okay. Last on the agenda is our guest comment. That being said, are there any guests? I don't think so. But I'm supposed to read this. Thanks for attending our Nelson County School Board meeting, and any person wishing to address the board may do so by following these rules. Since there's no one, I personally want to thank each one of you all for attending. Also, I would like to wish all of you all a Merry Christmas, and I know that's not politically correct to say, but I don't care. So, Merry Christmas to everyone. I'm sure the next year will bring us plenty of goodies.
Thank you.
So thank you. With that being said, meeting adjourned. I'm sorry, do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Okay, Jackson made the motion, Mr. Dickerson second, all in favor?